So some of the different rules or laws behind high converting pages are these. And I spent the last few weeks really kind of tearing apart a lot of the different landing pages that I built and really thinking, okay, what if we were to boil it down to just as fewest things as possible, what are the most important things? I'm going to run through them now. So this is the Row Nutrition example, and this is a real world store that is still converting at over 6%. They hit like 7% peaks, which is crazy at the volume of traffic that they are doing. And the cool thing is it follows very, very simple principles that I'm going to explain right now. The first one is highest impact. So it's the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle, as some of you have learned. If you focus on the highest impact areas, you will get more results. This is pretty simple. And the highest impact area of any landing page is the first section of that page. So the hero section is what we call it. You can see some example here of just doing a redesign. That's why I do a lot of redesigns for the hero sections of different brands, is because that's where they're going to get the majority of their uplift from. Because 100% of your ad traffic or your organic traffic or whatever traffic is coming to your landing page, this is what they're going to see first. This is what they're going to see. They're going to see your hero section. And within a few seconds, and I literally mean within a few seconds, they're going to decide whether they want to actually stay around and learn more, or if they just want to bounce. And that's it. That is the difference. You only have a few seconds. So I think a lot of people think, oh, you know, let's just kind of slap some things on here. Let's just put an image in here of our product, and we're going to focus. People spend basically all of the time below that hero section on writing content for all the sections below, you know, having nice design, everything. And yet where people are actually going to decide whether they're going to actually read it is within the first few seconds. So it doesn't matter what you have below it. If you don't have a good hero section, people are not going to scroll down to see it. The other way to like talk about this is it's like having an ad. And it's like, for an ad, imagine not focusing on the first 3 seconds of your ad and only focusing on the last 20 seconds. It's kind of like the same concept. Now, when I talk about that, most founders understand, yeah, I would never do that with an ad. I'd never focus on the last 20 seconds. And yet that's what they do when it comes to their landing page. So this is a really important one, you know, just understanding this. And I know that even talking about this, some people still won't do it because, again, it's like a trap people fall into. Just because it's only one section, and what I'm talking about here seems so simple, a lot of people are going to think, oh, you know, to get more conversions, I need to spend 3 hours writing, you know, the problem solution section, or I need to spend, you know, half an hour, you know, tweaking some section below the page. And that's not where your highest ROI is going to come from. It's going to come from your hero section. Okay. And this is when I was starting doing CRO, I would literally just do a redesign. I'd do several redesigns of the hero section every single day to try and make it better and better and better for different brands. So you can imagine how many of these I've done. It's like ridiculous, but that's how you actually get good. Just focus on what matters, focus on the highest impact. You can see a framework down here of a hero section. Again, like you probably have seen me post a bunch of different frameworks. They all follow a very similar pattern. You need to show your product. It needs to be instantly clear what you sell and who you're selling to. Like, it's not a coincidence that we're showing a person here who's matching the age, the demographic of who we're selling to. Even if this person had social proof, but they weren't, let's say, a person who we're selling to. Like, imagine if we were selling to a kid or a child, we wouldn't have a guy wearing the product. It just wouldn't make any sense. So you need to make it instantly clear who you're selling to, why they should care, and you know what you're actually selling. And you can see if we didn't have the word patches in the CTA button, it wouldn't be super obvious what we're selling. And so this is a little hack that I found. If you don't want to basically squeeze the word of your product into your title or into some of the benefit points, or you don't want to call it out here, bring it into your button, shop patches. And that makes it clear, because people's eyes are going to go on your image, they're going to go on your headline, and they're going to go on your button. Those are the 3 things that they're going to look at. And then if you've really hooked them in, they're going to take a little look at your benefit points and your social proof. That's it. That's kind of how they move. Now, in what order they look at, it's unpredictable. People don't look at things systematically. So that's why you want to make sure that these 3 things, your headline, your button, and your image, are really, really optimized, is what I would say. So that's the hero section framework. The second thing, another high impact area, is your product listing photos. So if any of you, and I know Daniel, you have one, you have a product page, you're sending ads through product page, you don't have a hero section on a product page. Your hero section is going to be the order form. It's going to be the first section that people land on. So if your landing page is a product page, and a product page can be a landing page, don't get confused, then what you need to focus on is your images, because that's what's going to engage people. That's what people are going to look through and swipe through. An analogy that I use is, if you ever have bought from Amazon, what has won you the sale or not won you the sale is the images. I don't think you're one of those people that scrolls down and reads the description of the product. Almost no one does that. And the only times you do that is when you're already bought into the product and you just want to confirm or handle one of your objections. You don't make your buying decision by skipping the image and scrolling down to the description and reading it. No one does that. So the images are super powerful, and the information that you communicate there will win you the sale or lose you the sale. Okay, so that's why in the little Figma doc, we've got some listing photos that you can take a look at and you can replicate for yourself. So, and here's also another little swipe file of different examples that you can use. The other area that's really, really high impact is your offer, okay, and how you position it. Now this, I don't want to go too deep on this, because sometimes when I go too deep into something, people can overthink it. Just take this away. How you position your offer, and by position, I mean your offer is not your product. It's basically how you're communicating what your product is, what it does, and why it's worth the price that you're offering, okay? So it's a bit more, your product is basically like the bag, but your offer is the fact that it's a leather bag that you can put your shoes into and you can travel everywhere, and it's for golfers. That's kind of what your offer is and what the price is, okay? So the offer is not really something that you're going to be able to follow a framework for a nail. Just understand the two principles behind it that I'm talking about, which is, again, how you communicate it, and then just test it. You have to test through different offers to find the winning ones. There's no person who's going to be able to tell you, hey, if you just implement this, it's going to work. You have to test it with the market. So that's why learning this skill of landing pages is so important, because if you learn how to build a high converting landing page, it's going to allow you to test offers better. And that's going to make you, a lot of money if you can get this right. And even your offer doesn't have to be physical. I know, Maynard, you've got a service, right, that you're selling. Just think, when it comes to even an intangible service, your offer is what you're offering to people. So again, it comes down to what you're pitching them. If you want to make it as tangible for people as possible, and I'll show you, I'm going off script here, but this is a guy I used to learn from in my previous, when I used to work for my old mentor. His name's Dan Locke. Now, some people don't like him. They think he's a very aggressive marketer, but there's one thing that every income marketer will agree on. Him and his team are really, really good at selling the intangible. And this is an incredible skill to master, because he's able to sell basically $2,000 to $5,000 products that are completely digital. You don't get any physical item. Now that is incredibly difficult to do on a landing page. And if you study, and I've studied him for a few years when I was starting out doing all of this, it all comes down to making things tangible. You can see how he's selling the package. It looks tangible. He's putting them on laptops. He's putting them in little boxes. He's making them as tangible. He's making the value as obvious as possible. So just take the principle away from this. Even if you're not selling something that's physical, you still have to make it seem physical as much as possible, if that makes sense. Make the value seem tangible. And the more you can do that, the more people are going to be bought in. So in summary, high impact areas, your hero section, your listing photos, your offers, and obviously these other areas are equally important, but if we were to break them down to three, your hero section, your listing photos, and your offer. So just focus on that. Any questions on that? I was going to do Q&A at the end of this, but I want people to jump in case I'm not explaining things too deeply. So if you do have a question, just put up your hand. Oh yeah, go on, Carlos.
Yes, I have a question. In the North America market, what's works better, a PDP or landing page or offer landing page for ads and these things?
Yeah, that is a great question, and the answer to it is you have to test it. No one is going to be able to tell you what works better. And a funny little thing is, there are some times where I will sit on a call with a client and I will say to them, okay, I think a product page will work better for you guys. And then we end up testing it, and then it doesn't do that well. And then we end up testing like another type of page and it does well. So even after all this time, I'm still not able to predict what a good offer, how well it will work, or what page will work. That's why you have to test those things, you know. So you just have to test them. You have to let the market decide on what is best, and then you just iterate around it, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go for it, Ross. Yeah, Ross, I think you're muted, man.
Oh, there we go. Are we going to also work on like landing pages, listicles, stuff like that as well? Because those are something that I'm trying to start testing a lot more.
Yes. So a listicle is also another type of page that I will talk about and give away in this. And it is like, it's very, very simple. It's just like a 5 reasons why on, you know, what your product is doing. So it's a really simple one. I can give you away a framework inside of this course as well on that. But the thing is, if you master what we're going to teach specifically, or what we're going to focus much of our training on, is the long form sales page. Because from the long form sales page, you can create every other single page. You can create an advertorial from it. You can create a listicle from it. You can create listing photos from it. You can optimize your entire site from it. So it's where all of your content, your copywriting, your assets will all come from. So that's where you should be spending your time. And of course, you can build, once you master that, you can build any other page, if that makes sense.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So the second thing is simplicity. I had a call with a brand this week, which is really funny because they were trying to convince me on why they needed to have, like, this is not the brand that I had the call with, but they were trying to convince me on why they needed to have a car app, and like 3 different car apps I think they had at the same time, and why they needed to have an upsell pop-up and everything. They were saying, oh, it's what another competitor in our niche is doing, so we just copied them. And basically, the trap that they fall into is a very common trap that a lot of people fall into. It's like Frankenstein CRO or Frankenstein funnels, or just Frankenstein in general. They take other ideas of what they think is working for other people and replicate it on their own store, thinking that it's going to work. If you do this and you don't critically think about what you're doing, you're going to end up with a store like this. And this is a real store that I did an audit for. And like, to me, looking at this now, I just think it's absolutely unreal how anyone implemented all of this and thought it was a good idea. I mean, look at this and tell me which one is going to convert. Even if you didn't know that this was a 9-figure brand, I think to anyone, even a child, they could look at this one and think, okay, yeah, this is the better design, right? But why is it better? You know, that's the important question. It's better because it's simple, and often less is more. It's a really, really nice phrase. I think it comes from a industrial designer, I think, because I remember it. But their philosophy was less is more, and it's so true, especially in e-com, especially in the world of marketing in general, because people's attention spans now are diminishing at a rapid rate. And you can look at the studies that prove this. Look at the friction that a complicated, you know, CRO optimized cart is giving these customers over here. Like, they have to exit out of all of these things just to kind of see the buy button and see all the information. So keep things simple. You do not need to overcomplicate things. The best designs that we've ever done, the best pages, have been the most simple one. Like, look at this. This is the homepage heroes section for Row, right? It's just a headline, some social proof, a really nice image, guarantee, and a call to action button. Really simple. It took us, this design, by the way, took us maybe 30 minutes to do. That's it. And it made them a lot of money, obviously. So you don't need to overthink everything and overcomplicate everything. So really, really important lesson, especially if you're going to go into this challenge and start building your landing pages, because I tell you, the worst people for building landing pages are the founders yourself. And I know there's a few founders on this call up to this training. You're going to watch this recording. You have the hardest job because you're in the trenches looking at your own business, and you think, oh, I need to talk about this and I need to talk about that, and I've got to sell people on this and sell people on that. And it's so hard to kind of take a step back and be objective and really think critically and be like, okay, what information does a customer actually need to know that really matters to them, and what information don't they need to know that I can kill from our pages, from our copywriting, et cetera, et cetera. So remember this, keep things simple. Third one, perceived value. This is something that we touched upon before, to do with the offer. It's really important, and especially again for Maynard, for what you're doing, it's making value tangible. You know, everything is perception, and I've spelt it wrong, but everything is perception. So the more you increase your perceived value, the more people you will actually convert. And perceived value, it sounds like a really fancy word, but it's literally what it says: perceived value, how people perceive what you're offering, or the value in what you're offering. Don't overthink it. Some people think, oh, this is like advanced psychology stuff. Just think about like when you were a kid, or even when you go into a store and you're buying something. Why do you buy? I'm sure everyone here buys a premium brand of something versus a cheap alternative. And they kind of know that they're both kind of the same, but they still buy the more premium one. And look at the mechanism of thinking behind that. It's because the quality may be, I don't know, arguably different, but it's because you perceive it to be different. You perceive it to be better. You perceive it to be giving you better results. And that all comes down to how that company or brand sold you on what the product is. So that's why this is really important. You can see this example of a brand. They're not one of our clients, but I really liked what they've done. They just simply laid out, this is everything that you're going to get in this kit. And they have a beautiful imagery always helps increase the perceived value, because people buy with their eyes. On the other side, if you have a really bad image that sells your product in a poor light, or your service, it's going to do more harm than good. So if there's anything that you invest money or time into, it's always images. That's what I say to people when they try and get a landing page from us. I always say, well, let me take a look at your images to see how they are, because I always know that's going to be one of the biggest things that influences their results that we're going to have to work with. So make sure that you have good images. Make sure that you're also communicating the value as clearly as possible. You don't need to be over salesy. You just need to say, hey, this is what you're going to get. This is why you're going to get it. And this is what it's going to do for you. You can see some examples over here. This is a redesign that we actually did for a brand. They were selling this $3,000 trainer plus 3 months of membership. And again, we didn't do anything crazy. We just took all of their information. We made it more obvious for people. And that's honestly a big part to the art of raising perceived value. Is a lot of brands, they have a great offer, but they're just not making it easy for people to see it, or obvious for people to see it. So again, this comes back to the skill of being able to structure information well. If you remember the example I told you at the start of the mentor of mine, he's speaking on stage. He's mastered the art of talking with his mouth. What you're learning on this course is the art of communicating with text, with images, and with basically design. And this is going to make you a lot of money. It's going to be it's going to be like an automated salesperson. You don't have to get up on a stage and sell your product to do that. You can be sleeping at night and have ads running to your landing page making you money. So that's the beauty of this when you get it right. So here's another example of this in action. You know, for this client, we just took one of their images of their product that they had this like exploded view, and we just labeled all the different parts of it. Again, just making it obvious to people who land on the site what their product actually is, so they can believe in its worth, essentially. I mentioned Dan Locke. This is like his it's like a several $1,000 offer that he has. But look at it. Look at how it's stacked in a triangle. It's like, I'll show you, I've got an example down here that probably better explains this. This is actually a redesign that I did for, sometimes I rarely work with brands who are not in e-com, but sometimes I do, just out of a favor or because I know them and I want to help them. This is one of those cases. But look at this example. This is the before. This is how they perceive, this is how they structure their offer. And I told them, hey, you need to change how you're structuring your offer. And this is the after. The difference is it is not clear what they're selling, and there is no structure, there's no hierarchy. You know, it's good. It's better than not having any of this. Don't get me wrong. But this looks more like a package. It looks more physical. We're using better quality books. We're using better quality screens. We're adding text in there to show the system. We're adding in a bigger Mac, and it's structured it's got a higher height to it. So I know what I'm talking about. It might sound a bit, advanced or anything like that, but just again, think of it logically. Take some of these examples. I'm going to give you access to this Figma after. You can look at some of these examples and just think, okay, if this is how my product looks right now, how can I make it seem more valuable? And that's a great question. That's going to put you on a path versus what all other people are doing. They're not thinking like this, right? So you can see again how we structured their information on the page as well. We then broke everything down, explained the value of it and what it did. So really powerful. You can see for snow, we took some of their best-selling products. We created a bundle out of it. Really simple stuff. Like if people look at this and they think we're doing some magic, it's really simple, basic stuff. It's just, again, making it obvious. But it's what we're doing is what most founders and brands don't think about doing. And that's why when I sit on a call with them and I tell them this, they're like, yeah, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense because it's intuitively, everyone knows this. It's just you have to be made aware of how important it is, so you can all do this. It's really easy to start doing. Just again, good images, make the offer obvious, and how big the images are as well is really important, making the value obvious. You can see an example for Row. We did this offer, by the way, is one of the best offers that we ever launched for any brand, because it was like a $300 plus offer. I was telling Row, Ryan, who's the co-founder of Row, for several months that he needs to do this. He was like, okay, we'll do it one day. Eventually they did it and we executed on it, and we took several of their best-selling products, again, same principle as Snow, packaged them all together, called it the total Row stack, labeled all the different value of what people are going to get, and it sold out within 2 weeks of launch. A $300+ offer. And I think it's still sold out now. So it's crazy. And that's first time customers who are coming in and seeing that as well. So it's crazy. If you nail this, what I'm talking about here, again, structuring information, positioning different things, you are going to absolutely crush it on the landing pages that you build. So visually show everything that's included with your offer. You can see here, this is what they had before. It was just the anchors. Okay, these are basically anchors to tie down things on a dry dock or something like that. But we just show that, you're also going to get this important hook, and you're going to get the carrying bag as well. So we just made they were already offering these with the original product, but again, we made it more obvious in that initial photo. So people are like, okay, that's pretty cool. They're going to offer all of that. And this is another great point, because a lot of people think they have a price problem, or they think they have a problem they're charging maybe too much, or they're not charging enough. You never have a price problem. You always have a communication problem. And this basically is a great example of how a very premium tea brand in the UK, which is where I'm based, basically handles their price objection. Because people know this Teapig brand is way more premium than any other one. And so a common question they get asked is, well, why are their teas cost so much? And this is literally what they said. It's fair to say our teas are more expensive than traditional supermarket teas, but it simply comes down to the quality. Whole leaf teas cost more. How could we deliver the exquisite taste, the finest teas from around the world, with all the work that goes in producing it for only pennies on a cup? And you know what the funny thing is so many brands have a great product, so scared to be this confident and transparent in communicating it. Like Teapigs are saying basically from this, we're confident in the value. This is why we're at the price point that we're at, and this is what you're going to get from it. You're going to get great tasting quality tea made with great ingredients. Now, just take the same principles from that and apply it to your own product. Don't be afraid to charge more if your product is genuinely worth charging more. So many people, and it kind of frustrates me when I get on a call and I see people slapping evergreen discounts on their product. Like 95% of every person I get on the call with who shows me their brand does this, and they all say, oh, I'm doing it because another brand is doing it. So everyone is discounting their product. Everyone is scared to show the customer something at full price. And it's just food for thought, because you being scared of showing your price is getting communicated to people in one way or another. If you're not confident in the value of what you're offering, then how do you expect your customer to be confident in purchasing. You know, just food for thought, right? And so many people are try to fix this instead of at the root level of what we're talking about. They try and fix it by offering people random free gifts to go with their offer, which at times conflict the main offer. And this example, this client is a new client of mine. They just joined this week, but I had a call with them, a somewhat brutal call with their offer, and I was saying, guys, why are you? They were showing me one of their pages, and it had basically, it was like their cap, but it had like, it included like this kit, this hair grooming kit or something like that. And the funny thing is I looked at their offer, and I just instantly knew it wasn't going to work because of what I explained to you guys, because their product, it's offering speed to people. By someone who wants to get hair restoration or solve this problem, they just have to put on the cap. And this is a $1,000 product. So very, very important for them to communicate this right. But what they were doing wrong in their offer is they were saying, it's $1,000, we've got like a $300 discount on it. So again, they were doing the evergreen discount that we talked about. So they failed at the first step. And then that they double failed by then saying, oh, but it also includes these 6 free gifts. And I'm telling you, one of the gifts was like a head scalp massager. Another one was a head oiling kit. And then the third one was like, was something else that they had to do. And I was basically saying to them, well, how do you expect some people to spend $1,000 with you to get a solution that you're communicating is going to be quick and easy? And then you're showing them that you have 6 free gifts that they also have to do to get results from. They have to then massage their head with this, and then they've got to put on this hair grooming kit. And again, you're overcomplicating it. You're overselling. You're being afraid of the value. Keep it simple. This is like the several of the different principles in once. Keep it simple. Don't oversell, and make your offer as tangible for people as possible. This is a really important one, okay? Because if you understand this, you know, it's just going to make you, like, what I'm trying to say is that you look at the best brands that are out there right now in e-com and in this space, and they all at the core follow these principles and do it really, really well. They're just masters at this. Okay. So let's go on to the next one, speed. So selling to the ADHD brain. I say this is kind of like a buzzword, but it's actually so true that we live in an ADHD world right now, and people think, oh, you know, ADHD, I don't have ADHD. Well, the funny thing is we're all slowly being trained to have an ADHD brain, because if you're using TikTok or you're using any social media app, that is how the algorithm is engineered to basically program you and make you think. It's not doing it maliciously. That's just the path of least resistance. There is so much content. There is so much information out there right now. There's so many different brands all competing for people's attention, that basically users or customers, they're getting bombarded with information every single day with different offers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how you can win in a market of so much information and so much competition and so much clutter is by, again, following the principles we discussed, and 2, making it easy for them to understand what you sell. So selling to the ADHD brain. So for example, really easy one here, right? Instead of different colored icons, show the product, show the little different products. It's just a visual change, but it's, again, just imagine someone scanning through this, they can see it more instantly. Just a little thing. But if you do those little micro improvements across your entire landing page, across your entire store, that will have a massive uplift. Do not underestimate it. And this is what I was talking about. In a world dominated by fast scrolling and short attention spans, one of the techniques that we talked about, image writing, ensures that your message cuts through the noise by leveraging the strengths of text and imagery. So what this essentially means is, if you want to get good at making information quicker and easier for people to see, learn how to master the art of writing words with the art of images, and learn how to combine them. And we have, and in that document that I'm going to give you, the 30-day challenge on building a landing page, I'm going to give you resources that go deeper into image writing. Okay, so yeah, so definitely check that out after this. If your audience needs a lot of education before they buy, you can, again, make it easy for them. Don't let them go hunting around your site. So if you know that you have a product that requires more information, like maybe SoloWave, they have a more premium product, we just added a little learn more button on the homepage. So we're not forcing people to go straight into the sale. when they come across our page for the first time, they can actually click on the learn more if they want to learn more. Here's another example. So using badges to highlight different product key features such as flavor. Simple, right? But they didn't have the flavor. They weren't calling out the flavor before. Now it's a dog product, so I'm sure the dog doesn't care what flavor it is. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you could ask it, but we're selling to the owner. We're not selling to the dog. So the owner cares what flavor it is because the owner thinks that the dog will care. Okay, so that's kind of the weird little thing with working with pet brands and people who are owning pets. So you have to just make it clear, you know, and even if this was like, imagine this was like a supplement brand that people are consuming, the flavor would be really important for people to, it would be one of the top buying decisions, right? For a fashion brand, a key little thing that people need to know before they buy is what size is the t-shirt that I'm going to buy. And so many fashion brands, they don't make the size selector or the size chart obvious. They bury it. If you look at the top, even the billion-dollar fashion companies, they all make the size chart obvious, apart from maybe one or two really bespoke fashion brands who completely break every zero principle that we're talking about, and they can get away with it because, again, people are so bought into their status, and yeah, that's the exception of the rule. But for the vast majority of us, make it easy, follow the framework, follow the rules. As you can see here, we are defaulting to the middle tier. So another little hack, if you have the most popular offer that people select, have it on default. When we first did a landing page for Row, we had it defaulted to the 1 month supply. By simply just changing it to the one that most people ended up clicking on, I'm sure you could imagine more people ended up converting, and it has a big difference. So when you're driving a lot of traffic to pages, when you're selling premium products, little micro things like this can have a big impact. Again, this comes back to the messiness. Does this, I mean, just look at this. Would someone who genuinely has ADHD read this and be sold on it? No, they wouldn't, right? So how can you expect people who go onto a page like this to actually convert well if this is how you're communicating your offer? And this again comes into founders not being totally certain on what they need to actually sell. They're overselling. This is just pure overselling, giving people, just dumping a load of information on people and expecting them to read through everything and to believe the value that you're offering. And it just doesn't work. It never works, right? Here's how you can combat that, right? Just if you have a lot of information, cancel it out or balance it by summarizing it. Okay, so this is what we did for Lifen. They had like a big description box, which we had to put in there to get, of course, because we're selling a premium product. We can't just not give people information, but again, make it easy for people to consume. So this is what hooks people in. They can see, okay, you've got the fast airspeed, you've got 8 drying settings, you've got 200 million negative ions. So when they're hooked into that, now they read the full information if they want to for further context. Okay, so that's kind of how these two things play together. So what I'm telling you here is use images and text, and images are really powerful. They're a lot faster to consume. So this is how they work together. And this is image writing in practice over here. You can see here's what's in the box. We're selling it visually, or we're communicating it visually, I mean, and we're communicating it through text as well. And you have to do both. You cannot just communicate through images because then people will not understand the context. But you can just communicate through text because then people won't bother to read, or it won't be as potent or as fast for people to consume. So you have to get good at using both, at being able to communicate with images and text, and that is image writing. I know it sounds like maybe some of you're listening to this and you're thinking, wow, it's like a lot of stuff to learn or to do. But imagine it's taken me 7 years to get to the point where I understand these things at this level. If I had them at day one, the results would be insanely different. Like the image writing alone is only something that we implemented for clients last year, and it was absolutely game changing. Okay, and it came from reading, there's a book on my shelf, Ogilvy on Advertising. Came from reading that and studying people in the past. So I didn't invent it myself. I just came up with the term image writing, but the core principles I did not invent. I just took what amazing marketers were saying from the past and what actually made them, masters of their field, and I just applied it to the digital age. So again, I'm not reinventing everything. I'm just taking what works. So any questions on this, by the way, because this is a big one. Or does that kind of make sense to everyone? Yes, Carlos.
Hi. One question is about the tabs. What do you think about have attacks or the tabs in the important information? I mean, for example, description have it inside a tab or open or without tab? Only...
Good question. So you mean like these tabs down here, is it in the...
Yes.
Just whatever makes it easy for people to consume. You might open your description tab by default, but if you do, and if you have a lot of text in there, then can add another element in there to summarize it. So when someone looks at that tab and they look at the block of information of your description, they can quickly understand all of it just by reading those three things. Okay. So whatever form you choose, that doesn't really matter. It's just, again, making it easy for people to consume what you're doing. It's like if you want to get good at sales, the quicker people can understand what you're selling and why you're selling, you're going to be able to sell more. Like when my mentor was on stage selling, he could sell people within like on, $1,000 packages and everything like that within an hour. That makes him a much more effective salesman than someone who has to take 3 days to sell the same thing. So speed and your ability to communicate fast and well and effectively is really important here on landing pages. And that's what this is kind of talking about. So does that kind of make sense?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
And then we have objection handling. So again, this comes into everything, by the way, I'm talking about here is all to do with sales. And I know some of you, maybe you're not expecting that we'd go into sales when we're talking about landing pages. Maybe you wanted me to pull up and talk about button colors and everything like that. But again, you wouldn't get results if we talked about that. That's not going to move the needle. You need to learn how to sell on a 2D screen and get people to consume that and to buy. And that's what we're talking about. So how you objection handle, or what objection handling actually is removing doubt from people in their mind. So the less doubt that people have, the more you're going to be able to convert, or the more likely they're going to be able to convert. And it really comes down to eliminating buyer's remorse by addressing their critical concerns. I'm sure some of you have experienced it. You've purchased something and immediately or an hour or two after you've regretted it. Well, if that happens to your customers, imagine that happens, you're sending hundreds of thousands of people to your landing page a month, and 30% of everyone who buys your product feels that. You're going to get massive refund rates. So a lot of people think, okay, let's just convert people, let's convert people, without thinking about, okay, once they've converted, can we actually keep that conversion? So you also need to look at it that way. And how you keep the conversion and make people not refund or request a refund and see the value of it is, first of all, you lay out the expectations. That's why communicating your offer is really important. You should never sell to anyone who doesn't see the value in your product, because they are always going to ask a refund. Imagine if we sold this product and, my God, we could go crazy with it, right? We could tell people it's gonna solve like an illness of yours. It's gonna cure, it's gonna make you think like, Einstein. And imagine they get the product. Yeah, okay, we've got their money, but when they actually receive their product, they're gonna realize the product that they bought does not match their expectation. They're gonna request a refund, and that's even worse, because once someone requests a refund, it is going to cost you way more than if you never got that conversion in the first place, because they've taken up your time. You have to refund them. You've also just lost a product, and you're basically having to pay for shipping. So it's like 3 times to 10 times more expensive to get a refund than to not get a conversion. So again, communicate your offer well, set the expectations, be totally honest and transparent with what people are getting, and then help them believe, or help them not have any doubt in what they're purchasing, by making sure that you're confident with a guarantee. So if you have a guarantee, a lot of people talk about a guarantee, right? Oh, add in a guarantee. But no one talks about where you should put your guarantee. Put your guarantee in the place where it makes the most sense. Don't put your guarantee in a hero section on landing page. So this is Ro's homepage. This is for people who are retargeted. They're coming back to their homepage. So we can talk about the guarantee here. Okay, but on a landing page, do you think it makes sense to put a guarantee in the hero section for new people who've just landed on your page and they've just come across your product? Well, no, it doesn't, right? Because you haven't sold them on your product first. So put the guarantee and guarantee information in your buy box or next to your pitch, okay? Because that's what's going to help them take that next step forward. So you can see for this example, we put it literally right underneath the checkout button. And it's almost like a reminder, hey, by the way, we have this guarantee. You either get better dog health in 90 days or it's free. So how do you think that's going to make people feel when they see that next to the buy button? It's going to kind of remove any hesitation they had. Also communicate how long the product is going to last. So any questions that people have, create doubt, that are not answered, create doubt. So how long does a product last? This is a big one. A lot of people don't do this. If they're selling a supplement product or something that expires after a certain amount of time, they don't always communicate how long it's going to last. And people need to know that information. If I'm going to buy a supplement and you're selling it in a certain offer, I want to know how long that product is going to last for the money that I've just spent. So communicate that. You can see how we've done it for Right Wing Naturals. We've actually said it's a 3-month supply. It works out at this per soap. This is what you're going to pay right now. So it just makes their buying decision super easy. Communicate how easy the product is to set up. You can see we've listed out in steps and in images how to actually set the product up. You can elevate your trust by using social proof, and obviously the more powerful social proof you have, the better you're going to be able to convert as well. But yeah, you don't need a lot of social proof to be able to sell well. You don't even need any social proof to be able to sell a product. You can sell a product well if you literally have a good offer and if you communicate it really well. Okay, that's where everyone has to start from that place, or else no one would be at the level that they're at. Social proof just comes over time, and it's just kind of like the sprinkle on the cake, if you want to put it that way. So then resonance. So this is kind of, again, we're getting less and less potent. So the first things that we talked about are the most important ones, but this is another important one to do after you started building landing pages. You need to test different ways of communicating the information that you've. So you can see it's not just about building one landing page, it's about repeating that process over and over again, trying to find different ways to communicate your main message. And this can turn you from a 7% uplift to an 18% uplift just by communicating your offer, the same offer, but just differently, just in a way that resonates with people better. Now, these aren't real figures, okay, but this is just to illustrate an example. So 90% of landing pages fail because they hedge their bet on one angle. So imagine you launch a page, you have one angle on it, or you're saying, okay, at the top of your page, this is what you're saying you're offering, and that fails. And then you launch the second landing page, and it fails, and you basically give up. Well, it could be the angle 3. If you just made one little change to the headline, or you looked at one more of your customer ads and you did a little bit more research, that could have been the one that converted for you. So again, don't give up if the first landing page fails. Most landing pages fail on the first time. That's why you need to test multiple different messaging angles. The more messaging angles that you do, the more likely or the better results that you're going to be able to get. Okay. You can see we're not doing anything special here. We're just changing the angle at the top, the hero section. The rest of the landing page remains the same. So we're just changing that first section on the page. Okay, so it's not a lot of work really, but it has a big impact. So when you build your landing page, come up with a few different angles as well. You can test out. Really, really powerful. Yeah, and basically this is the problem that I mentioned, right? They have an ad, they do one landing page and they fail, and that's it, they give up. And what you need is a system to test multiple different flows. So dual selling. So sell to the emotional and the rational brain simultaneously. So sell the benefits, the features, and make it believable. This is the key thing. You need to make it believable. So many people, they have like ridiculous claims, like absolutely ridiculous claims. And they think that, oh, the more ridiculous the claim, the more it's going to hook people's attention. No one is going to buy something that seems too good to be true, especially if you're asking for a lot of money for it. So you need to make it believable. With any headline, you need to, or with any promise, you need to also provide proof. That is, if you want to know the secret to really good copywriting, I've just given it to you there. It's every good headline makes a bold promise. That's what's hooking your attention in. But what makes it convert is giving that headline then a sub-headline or an image that provides proof that what you're promising, people are actually going to get. So for example, if we're promising to regrow this person's hair, or to regrow your confidence with IllumiFlow with their cap, here's actually how we're saying it. So you're going to experience thicker, fuller hair in just 30 minutes, 3 times a week, right from home. And here's proof of the transformation. Here's the device that actually does it. Here's social proof that backs it up. And here's a 12-month satisfaction guarantee and a 2-year warranty. So what do you think is going to convert better? This, which is just saying fight back against hair loss, or this? So you can see the difference. Hopefully you're starting to see the pattern here. Add impulse buys to your cart to naturally increase AOV. So basically, if you're upselling or cross-selling anything, make it a really powerful hack is to make it like an impulse purchase. Make it something that complements what they've already bought into. If they've bought or they've decided to buy a hairdryer, why not sell the storage bag that goes with it? Some people, they go crazy with the upsells. They start, again, going crazy. They start selling. Imagine you've sold them on a hairdryer now, and then people might start selling them on like a, I don't know, like a completely different product or something that is going to raise more questions with them. You don't, if you're better off, if you're unsure about this, you're better off sticking to simplicity. Don't cross-sell them anything. If you're not confident in what you're selling or cross-selling or upselling, you're better off not selling them anything. Just let them be bought into your main product first, okay? And that is why the best upsells, like I mentioned, they sell to both brains, the rational brain and the emotional brain. So when they, what made Life and successful when we worked with them is we updated all their images, and we basically just called out all the features with their product. So when people swipe through, they could understand, okay, this hairdryer looks amazing, looks really cool, looks really innovative. That's the emotional side of their brain that we're selling to. We made it look cool and fun, but then we needed to justify it, help the rational brain be justified in spending $100+ on a hairdryer. So that's why we say it's 3 times faster. You're going to save you're going to keep your hair safe while saving time. And we went into all the different features and benefits. So that's basically all of the different tips. I will open up a Q&A because I've been speaking for quite a long time, and we can dive a little bit deeper into this if you guys have any questions.